Hello, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is our review of Molly's Game. This will be our first new movie of 2018.
Right. I mean, technically,
it came out in limited release before the first of the year, but
right.
wide release was like on the 5th. So there's still a couple of the end of the year movies that we haven't caught up on, but this one we definitely wanted to see.
Right.
So, if you don't know, Molly's Game was written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. He'd never directed before. I'm trying to add direct and written at the sitting together. Directed. That should be a new category, I think, maybe. So this is his directorial debut, and then it's starring Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba, Kevin Costner, Michael Cera, that kind of thing. And it's about the poker world, essentially.
Yep.
It's about this lady who ran this high-end poker game in Los Angeles and New York. And it's based off of a book. And we'll get into some of the stuff that's going on. But a lot of people didn't know about what was going on with this movie. They just saw that it was Aaron Sorkin, or they saw it was Jessica Chastain.
Yeah.
But it's about poker, and it's about life, kind of intermixed with each other.
It's about, and the silly laws surrounding
I'll try not to get on my soapbox too much.
poker.
I'm not making any promises. So what were your overall thoughts of the movie?
It was good. Not like, oh my God, I think we have to run out and buy it, but definitely if it's on, we'll probably watch it again.
When it comes up on HBO or Netflix, we'll be watching it again.
Yeah. If nothing else, just to, you kind of got to go through it once and then go back and maybe rewatch it. Because like we were talking about on the way home, it's kind of got a interesting flow. Yeah. There's the present day and then the past and how she kind of got into the situation she's in today.
There's one linear story that's going on. That's all the stuff it's today, right? Modern. And then there's flashbacks, but that's also told in a straight line. But not all of the flashbacks, and sometimes the flashbacks have flashbacks. So there's like it's like very Inception-y, with the kind of levels of different the storytelling, which is fine.
I have to tell you about this thing that happened to me when I was a kid in order for you to understand what happened to me. I don't know, 2-3 years ago, to understand why I'm in the situation I'm in today. Yeah,
right. I like that.
Yeah, So I liked it.
Yeah, I'm probably going to like it a little bit more than you did, based on, so when the poker boom happened, we both got kind of sucked up into it a little bit, and I played a lot more than she did, but I had aspirations of maybe even doing it as a career. I was playing not super big states, but I was making a profit. And so when you sit around the table or you read books or you read stories and stuff like that, you would hear stories about these big games and these big games that are going on in Los Angeles. Always like whispered kind of, you ever heard about that Hollywood game? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing you would hear like about Benny Binion putting the World Series of Poker together. It's the same kind of stories like that, or Bobby's Room, or the stuff that would go on in the Monte Carlo in the early days of the boom. And so it was always that, campfire stories kind of thing around the table. So because of that, I really was interested in this movie, and I was really excited about it. I was really happy with it.
Yeah.
Is there anything specific that you really liked about it, or?
I just thought, like Jessica Chastain's performance, as usual, was awesome. I mean, she's a great actor. And I mean, the story was really interesting. You don't have to be into or understand poker to appreciate the movie. They do kind of explain. There's a couple scenes where there's hands being played, and they kind of explain for you that
the terminology of poker.
Well, and this hand beats this hand, and Yeah. But we were both like, you know, there was a scene where an individual was he it was bad. It was
Yeah,
bad, and
yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're tilting.
Uh,
And she, like, a couple minutes later, like, pulled him aside and said, "You're on tilt. You
yeah,
need to go
yeah.
home."
I,
So yeah.
I liked a lot of the lingo that they like literally like set up how the poker, here's a flop, here's Fourth Street, here's on a heater, he's on tilt, cooler, all that, like all this poker terminology that we would use at the table or whatever.
Yeah.
They did a good job of explaining that.
Yeah, so that, yeah, you knew what was going on. And then there was just a lot of other story. I thought it was really interesting that kind of just who she was and how she got there.
How she became like a world class, was it slalom?
Yeah,
moguls,
I think she
moguls.
mo-
No, moguls.
moguls.
Downhill mogul skier, and was going to go to the Olympics and have a chance at a medal in Salt Lake, and had a really freak accident essentially, and after that kind of caused her to make this decision, which made this decision, which made this decision, and she just it all kind of snowballed from there.
Right.
And you actually feel for her towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, again, and that goes back to, dumb laws around
Yeah.
poker, and she got hung up because she was taken towards the end. She was taking a rake, which means that she was taking a percentage of the pots that were played. And if you don't understand kind of what's going on, you're like, well, that's not stealing, but you're
providing a service, and this is how you're getting paid. Is essentially how it is.
right. But she was getting paid before. She just did it in tips, which is legal. So they would tell the players, you should tip Molly because she put the game together. She rented the hotel room, all of this stuff. Well, then towards the end, she started taking a rake, which is illegal. That's actual gambling. That's what the casinos do.
Right.
And the reason that she started doing that was because these people weren't necessarily playing with cash. They might come in with $50,000 cash and start their night off with that. But then if they start going bad, they ask for a marker, right? They go back to her and say, I need another 50, I need another 50 without
essentially buying on
credit.
Yeah.
But these are, this is Joe Blow off the street, and she may or may not even really know who they are, although a lot of them were famous. So she's taking a risk by, allowing them to play with all this money that they didn't really provide.
Really have, and now she has to cover it because she's the house, right? She's the bank,
right?
And so they really could have gone into the legal end of it, like gone really deep on the legal end and used all the legal terminology and stuff, and they kind of dumbed it down a little bit, which is fine because not everybody's got a law degree, right?
Right.
But they did show that one of the things that I actually appreciated was that Molly is actually really smart.
Yeah.
Like
very smart.
Very smart. She makes a joke towards the end. It's not really a joke. She kind of tells how we know what the center of the universe smells like.
Yeah.
And she kind of tells because the chemicals are made of this and this and this is the smell, whatever. And she's telling her lawyer, who's played by Idris Elba, and she's explaining all this, and he's like, "How do you know this?" She's like, "Well, once I got comfortable in the game, I started taking online courses. I'm 14 credits short of an astronomy degree. I didn't even know I was enrolled." It's like you just stumbled your way through an astronomy degree. It's like you're super smart, and they portrayed her that way very well.
Yeah,
and I really appreciate it. It would be really easy for you to, when you see the pictures of her and stuff like that, they do make a joke early on that she had a stylist come in and kind of dress her up a little bit and make the Cinemax version of herself is kind of the joke.
Yeah.
So boobs were out, hair and makeup were always perfect, short skirts, high heels, and it would have been really easy to kind of portray her as a ditz, but she was super smart and educated and stuff. And so, is there anything that you didn't particularly like?
No. I mean, I might have liked more, but I mean, it was a pretty long movie.
It's 140 minutes or something like that. So it's a pretty long movie, but to tell the story the right way, I think it's
yeah.
There wasn't anything particular I liked. There's one scene that they have to tell, and there's one scene they have to show to tell the story the right way, and it was a little rough to watch.
Oh yeah.
So but you can't get around that. That's a driving force of what ends up happening towards the end.
Yeah.
So, what is your one of the other things that I wanted to talk about too is they didn't use names of the players. The book that's the movie Molly's Game is actually based off a book called Molly's Game, and it's written by Molly Bloom, and she tells her story, but no names are given out. There's one deposition that she did early on where 4 names were released, but it wasn't by her, it was somebody in the room, that kind of thing. It was like a TMZ.
And they just asked her to confirm whether those 4 people were there, and so then she agreed to use those names because they were already out.
Yeah, but they made a point of saying, in the Hollywood game, it was Mr. X or Player X. Well, Player X was a big-time Hollywood actor, and he was kind of the main person around this one game. I can pretty much figure out who that is.
Yeah.
And they talk about bringing in some fish, and they talk about a World Series of Poker champion who won $12 million. Well,
we pretty much
kind
know
of figure
who
out
that
how
is.
that is and the heater that he was on and stuff. And so it was really kind of cool that they didn't come out and say names, but you could kind of like,
if you're aware of the world, you knew who some of the people were. Now there's also Italian mob and
Russian
Jews
mafia,
and, Jewish Russian mafia and all that. And we don't know who those people are.
But the Hollywood game itself they were mentioning names and people, and I'm like, oh, I think I know who that is. That was really kind of cool.
Yeah.
So what was your score?
So I think a 3. I really liked the movie. I'm not upset that we went at all, but just kind of based on the fact that I wouldn't necessarily need to buy it.
Right. I'm a 3.75.
All right.
Like I said, I think it was going to be a little bit higher because of of the stuff.
Yeah.
I think too that a little bit of it is the last movie we saw was Shape of Water, and we've seen a bunch of the really good Oscar movies here towards the end of the year, and this movie is really good. I think that it's just we're kind of in this afterglow of all these really awesome movies that we saw.
Yeah.
And so
it's hard to hold a candle.
Yeah. Like if this movie came out in February, we'd be like, this movie's amazing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But since it's kind of in that section, and it would be cool to see Jessica Chastain get an Oscar nomination. She probably won't, but it'd be cool if she did.
Yeah.
And the speech that Idris Elba makes at the end.
And Kevin Costner.
Kevin
Costner plays her dad, and there's a scene in there that was like,
I'm not crying.
You're crying.
We're going to do 3 years of therapy in 3 minutes. And it's free. Well, fuck, man. Let's get on that. So that was our review of Molly's Game. What did you guys think of the movie or this review? Please leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought of the movie, what you thought of this review, all that kind of cool stuff. Also, like the video while you're here. And please subscribe to the channel. Also, follow us on Facebook at the PopCultureCult or PopCultureCult1 on Instagram. And we're at Pop_Cult1 on Twitter. We're also on the Stardust app. Download it for free. React to everything. Follow us first. Anything else?
Nope.
Until next time, good night now.